And I'm Daryl Steinberg, the President Pro Tem of the California State Senate, and I'm very privileged to be joined by a number of my colleagues and special guests. And let me introduce my colleagues. First, Senator Roy Ashburn, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Senator Carol Liu, Senator Lou Correa, Senator Elaine Alquist, the chair of our Health Committee here in the Senate, Senator Dean Flores, the Majority Leader, Assembly Member / Senator Tom Torlakson is here with us. And the bipartisan and bicameral nature of the people you see behind me here, I think, represents the importance of the issue we came to talk about here today. We are here to formally announce the formation of the Senate Select Committee on Autism. And really what this is another important vehicle to continue pushing an aggressive legislative agenda to make autism, the prevention of autism, the treatment of autism, and the support for those who live with autism a major public health priority here in the state of California. We all know the numbers. This is the fastest growing developmental disability in the country. 1 in 150 births, 1 in every 94 boys. A child is diagnosed with autism every 20 minutes. Our failure thus far to make this the public policy priority it should be costs us $90 billion annually. In 10 years, the annual cost is estimated to rise to $200 to $400 billion. And so even in the midst of this economic crisis and in this budget crisis, we must tackle autism. And the Select Committee will focus on 3 significant areas: expanding insurance coverage by private health plans to cover the evidence-based treatment practices for helping autistic children. Secondly, promoting appropriate transitional education, employment, and housing services for those who age out of the system. We talk about this a lot in the foster care arena. The same is true for those children who become young adults who live with autism. And then early identification and intervention. Lifelong care can be reduced by 2/3 with early intervention. And there are a number of advances in this field that allow pediatricians and parents to understand the early signs and to make sure that the child receives the treatment that they need and, in fact, deserve. I want to turn it over for the next moment or two to one of the people in this field who is leading the way through her hard work, through her passion, through her unwillingness to ever take no for an answer. She was my co-chair of the Blue Ribbon Commission on Autism, which was commissioned by Senator Parada and Speaker Nunez back in 2005, Dr. Barbara Firestone. Barbara?
It is incredibly exciting to be here this morning with all of these distinguished colleagues committed to a common cause. You know, I think we all can acknowledge that we live in a new era of hope for autism. And it's hope that's fueled by the increased awareness, by the expansion of basic and applied research, by the intensification of advocates, parent advocates in particular, some of whom you'll meet this morning, by the priority that has been placed on the further development of evidence-based, effective educational and therapeutic opportunities, and lastly, but very importantly, the call for innovative public policy reform. And I am proud to live in a state that has always demonstrated its leadership position in the field of autism, even decades ago, but now has demonstrated such leadership and commitment to furthering the agenda of autism in our state. It was my great, great privilege to serve as vice chair. You promoted me,
Oh,
Darrell,
thank you. Well, I always thought of you as the leadership.
to serve as vice chair of the California Legislative Blue Ribbon Commission on Autism. And today, under the visionary leadership of Senator Darrell Steinberg, yes, it is the visionary leadership of Darrell Steinberg, the commission for 3 years developed an important agenda for autism and really charted a course that resulted in a roadmap for the future of autism in California, and actually resulted in the passage of 4 important bills of a robust legislative agenda. So today, under Darrell's leadership, we can reflect on the Legislative Blue Ribbon Commission on Autism, and we can also celebrate the establishment of the Senate Select Committee on Autism that comprises just a remarkable group of senators who are forward-thinking and are committed to positive and effective change in our state, who have made the commitment in everything else that's going on at the state. And it really is a testimony to your commitment to take the time in these times that are so challenging to say, yes, the individuals and families living with autism in this state remain a priority to us, no matter how challenging the times are, and we will continue our efforts that were established by the Blue Ribbon Commission, and we will continue to lead the way in this arena. And I must tell you, the Help Group and I look forward with great anticipation to supporting the work of the Senate Select Committee on Autism and to the related task forces that will be developed. The 3-year commission really was a dynamic force for change, and it had very productive results. I mentioned the bills before, but I think it's just important just take a minute or two to talk about what we recognize. We can talk about the increasing numbers of kids, and we can promote awareness. 1 in 150 kids are affected by an autism spectrum disorder, but that really is not meaningful unless we are willing as a state to mobilize the resources and programs to address the needs of these children and individuals so that they can look forward to the most promising future possible. So we knew with the Blue Ribbon Commission that it was extremely important to identify children early and give them the benefit of intensive early intervention at the earliest possible point. We knew that education, another recommendation had to do with the expansion of educational and therapeutic opportunities to maximize kids' potentials. We knew that parents needed to be assured of access to the services and programs that their children needed, and access included funding and insurance coverage that would make this access possible. We knew that it was important to intensify our efforts to further build the most very sophisticated professional and paraprofessional group of individuals to mobilize through our state to help address these gaps. We knew that it was important to increase the understanding of all those who in our public arena who relate to individuals with autism, like the police officer training that was affected. And we knew that it was extremely important to plan for the aging out group of children. I think, Rick, you're going to be speaking later on that topic, and we know the numbers of children are exploding who will be aging out of the system at 22. And our recommendations included issues having to do with developing independent and semi-independent living opportunities, vocational opportunities, post-secondary opportunities that would enable every young person in California with an autism spectrum disorder to lead as productive and rewarding independent or semi-independent life as was possible. So our commission made significant strides in charting this course, and today the announcement of this Senate Select Subcommittee gives us great cause to celebrate. California's commitments. Thank you very much. Oh, now it's my great pleasure to introduce a parent advocate who has a very strong voice for children in our state, Feda Al-Maliti, parent of a 4-year-old son with autism and co-founder of Autism Deserves Equal Coverage. Feda?
Good afternoon. My name is Feda Al-Maliti, and this is my son, Mohammed. Mohammed's 4.5 years old. I wanted to share his story with you because his story is so similar to the thousands of California children with autism. Mohammed was diagnosed with autism by our insurance provider at 18 months. The doctors recommended many treatments for my son. They stressed to me the importance of early intervention, but they also made it clear that health insurance would not provide any of these treatments that they recommended. They referred me to multiple state agencies. First, they told me go to the regional center, then the school district. Then they told me my son's treatment was academic, then custodial, and then not medically necessary. Basically, anything but their responsibility. I ultimately appealed my health plan's denial through the Department of Managed Health Care and won. After more than a 2-year battle, and only starting last fall, my son is finally receiving the treatment that he so desperately needs. Since that day, I've dedicated my life to helping other parents navigate the process so they don't have to go through what I went through. It's extremely time-consuming, confusing, full of red tape, long waits for service for even the most pressing treatments. Let me tell you a little bit about what it's like to raise a child with autism. Everything is a struggle. Everything is a struggle. Getting in and out of the car, taking a bath, eating a meal, getting dressed, even going to sleep. And even at the end of the day when I was so tired and all I wanted to do was fall in a heap and go to sleep myself, I would stay up all night writing letters to my insurance company. It's hard enough for families to deal with autism 24/7. They shouldn't also have to struggle and fight this hard just to get access to the health care that we pay for. The state, in its current budget crisis, cannot allow the private sector to continue shifting its costs to the public sector and to the taxpayers of the state of California. We must require insurance companies to cover these treatments and ensure the regulatory agencies enforce it. Yet the vast majority of families today receive absolutely no treatment for their children with autism from their health plans. I think one very important role of this Senate Select Committee will be to hold hearings, conduct research, and try to uncover why these families aren't getting the health care they pay for, and to ensure solutions are found. I want to commend Senator Steinberg for creating the Select Committee and for committing to be its chair. Its role will be critical in continuing the work that the Blue Ribbon Commission on Autism started, helping identify and close the gaps for many of the struggles that families dealing with autism face. Achieving equitable insurance coverage is just one of those struggles. Autism is the single biggest health crisis in California and the nation. I also want to recognize each and every senator on this committee for acknowledging the many problems and challenges that our community faces, and for having the courage and dedicating their time and resources to find solutions for this complex issue of autism. Thank you. Now I want to introduce to you Rick Rollins. I've had the pleasure of working with him over the last several years. He's an excellent advocate for the autism community. He's the father of an 18-year-old son with autism and co-founder of the Mind Institute.
Thank you, Feda. And I'd like to first of all thank Senator Steinberg for once again stepping up and taking on the challenges of autism. He is a great man. He is someone who has committed himself to our cause at a time when there are literally hundreds of issues confronting the legislature. I'd also like to thank each and every member of the Senate behind me. As many of you know, I served 24 years in the Senate as the Secretary of the Senate and a number of other capacities, and I know firsthand the stress and the numbers of requests that members get to get involved in issues. And each of the members behind me have stepped up to the plate for my son and the thousands of other children with autism in this state, and I want to express my heartfelt thanks to each and every one of you for doing that. Autism is epidemic in this state as it is throughout the country. In California, we're adding roughly 13 new kids a day, 7 days a week, to California's regional center system. Of the 12,000 new clients that will be added this year, on average about 1,000 new clients to our system, between 600 and 650 of those new clients will be children with full syndrome DSM-4 autism. As the co-chair of the Legislative Blue Ribbon Commission on Autism, looking at the issues of aging out, it was clear in our hearings throughout the state and the testimony we heard, and from our own personal experience, the need to prepare for the thousands of young children who are currently living at home, who are moving into adolescence and adulthood. When you look at California's autism population, you quickly recognize that unlike the other disabilities that we serve in our regional center system, that being mental retardation, cerebral palsy, and cerebral palsy and epilepsy, the autism population is skewed dramatically towards young children. 84% of the autism population is under the age of 21 years old today. We have more 6- and 7-year-olds in the system than we do all the adults with autism combined. What this means, of course, is that the 92% of the kids that are currently living at home with their parents are going to matriculate out of home into much more costly care. We need to be working, and I look forward to working hand in hand with the Select Committee on Autism to develop innovative, cost-effective, and important employment opportunities, daytime activities, and housing for this growing number of children, like my son Russell, who is now 18 years old. Once again, I want to thank everyone behind me and thank Barbara and Daryl for the great work that they're doing. And on behalf of my son, who can't speak, I want to thank each and every one of you again for all the work that you've done. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you very, very much. I want to introduce, and I've already introduced some of them, the leaders, and these people are leaders who will serve as members of the Senate Select Committee on Autism. Again, Senator Dean Flores, who's standing behind me, will speak in just a moment. Senator Dennis Hollingsworth, Senator Elaine Alquist, again, the chair of our Health Committee. Senator Alex Padilla will also speak in a few minutes. Senator Roy Ashburn as well. This is a bipartisan issue. Senator Lou Correa, Senator Carol Liu, Senator Fran Pavley, and Senator Lois Wolk. And so you see members here with the breadth of experience and, most importantly, commitment to continuing to push an aggressive public policy agenda here. Let's hear from the members briefly, the members who have some of the lead bills this year. Begin with Senate Bill 682 by Senator Padilla, which deals with the education of older students to prepare them for independence. Senator Padilla?
Thank you. I apologize for stepping in a little bit late, and I'll apologize in advance for ducking out early. Mr. Pro Tem, there's some policy committee meeting right now that I have to go cast my vote in, but it really is a privilege and an honor to be a part of this select committee and part of this effort. I want to thank Senator Steinberg for the genuine leadership that he's demonstrated in leading this charge. I know everybody has said it, but it is absolutely true, and he deserves that praise. I also want to thank Dr. Firestone for her ongoing commitment, both with the commission as well as the help group that has a campus in my district. We have that contact back home. I'll keep my remarks brief. Dr. Firestone mentioned that part of the findings and part of the recommendations that the report speaks to is the need to expand post-secondary educational programming and services. And so my bill simply provides a vehicle for county boards of education to utilize some of the federal economic stimulus dollars that they're eligible for to provide those very post-secondary educational transitional services as well as career technical educational opportunities for the quickly growing population that is soon to be aging out and therefore won't be eligible for the programs that are currently in place for the under 18 population. So it sounds simple, but as you've heard from the testimony today, it can make a world of difference for many, many families throughout the state of California, and I'm just proud to be part of this effort this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex. Senator Carol Liu, who's carrying a very important bill, Senate Bill 383, on the early identification of children with autism spectrum disorder. Senator Liu.
Thank you very much, Senator Steinberg, and I too want to thank you for being included in the Select Committee on Autism, and I want to look forward to working with Ms. Firestone here with her long history with the HELP group, and you too are in my district. So it is something that I share with the Senator Badea, who just disappeared. Anyway, we all know that research indicates early detection can help children and families and loved ones cope better with the effects of autism spectrum disorder. And SB 383 is a simple measure to establish a pilot program for the early identification, diagnosis, and intervention of children with autism. Very simple. It's been heard in committee, and we're hoping that it gets out of our infamous, what is it, that infamous thing that keeps on holding up bills? Suspense file. So thank you very much for the opportunity. I look forward to working with the group.
I'll make no comment about the suspense file at this time. Senator Roy Ashburn, Senate Bill 812, which deals with the crucial issue of housing, independent housing, supportive housing for individuals with autism spectrum disorder. Senator Ashburn.
As the lone Republican here, I just want to make it very clear that when we talk about autism, there is no party identification.
Yes, true.
And Republicans and Democrats throughout this state care deeply about children and adults with autism. The other revelation I will make is that senators normally do not celebrate the creation of new committees, except in this instance. Yes. This is an extraordinary committee dedicated to helping those who need our help. My measure deals with housing, both at the state and local level, housing plans, and also a study from the Department of Developmental Disabilities to deal with the housing needs of adults. Housing is obviously very important, and we hope to be a part of this conversation.
Thank you very much, Senator Ashburn. And last but not least, Senate Bill 621 by the Majority Leader, Senator Dean Flores. There's nothing more important than a job. Deals with employment training and supports for people with autism spectrum disorder. Senator Flores.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I think Senator Ashburn said it best. We have legislation, and sometimes we have committees, but at the end of the day, when you have both of them, I think it makes a tremendous difference because this committee can, in essence, ask the questions that need to be asked, and the legislation can hopefully answer some of those questions as it moves through the Senate and hopefully onto the Assembly. Senator Steinberg mentioned Senate Bill 621. This bill will ensure career technical education curriculum in our state that actually meets the need. I think it's been mentioned statistics, but remember, 14,000 students with autism a decade ago, 46,000 students today, and growing. So it's clear to us that we have to have a curriculum that allows people to move into the workforce. This bill simply does that, and we look forward to moving it through the Senate.
Thank you very much. I want to call upon two other senators, Senator/Assembly member, who have waited here patiently, Senator Lou Correa and Assembly member Tom Torlakson, to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Darrell. You know, a couple of months ago, I came across a parent of an autistic child, and this parent was asking me, what do I do? She has two children. The daughter's autistic, and the son is not. My problem, she said, is that my son is embarrassed to be around his sister all the time. Won't play with her, will stay away with her at school. She doesn't quite put her clothes on correctly, doesn't comb her hair. It's not always the nicest looking girl in school. What do I do? You know, I had to stop and think about that issue. And I think the answer is obvious. It's right in front of all of us. And the answer is really we have to change the way we think about autism. That's not our child. It's our child. It's our grandchild. It's our neighbor. This is part of our society, our fabric. And if there's anything, or I should say, the most important thing that comes out of this committee is that it's going to change the way we look at autistic children. Last year, I carried a bill to move ahead with the task of training police officers on how to deal with autistic individuals when they came across them in a public setting. And I'm hoping to continue to monitor that development, to see how that goes, and if we need be, carry more legislation in an area. But again, I'm excited about being part of this committee because I think this will be a great step ahead in changing how we address autism in our society today. Thank you very much.
Just following Senator Correa's poignant personal example, Rick and Fader are joined by countless thousands and thousands and thousands of parents whose hearts and hopes are with this committee, with what the legislature can do, and the kids, they're with us hoping for that future, the young adults hoping for that brighter future. I was privileged to work with this coalition, this good team last year, and want to just pledge to work closely with you this year, and it will be also a bipartisan issue a nonpartisan issue in the Assembly, and we look forward to the work you all will come up with. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tom. Okay, we do have one other item here, and that is a little surprise here. It's all our small way here in the legislature and in the Senate specifically to express our great appreciation and respect for Barbara Firestone and the Help Group for sponsoring Autism Awareness Day, which is really reflective of your everyday commitment to fight on behalf of every child and every family in this state. And so we want to give this to you, Barbara, and say thank you.
Thank you, Darryl.
Thank you very much. We'd be happy to stand for any questions, or we can, hang around afterwards and individuals can answer questions.
Would anyone else like to comment on intended changes in K-12 education for special needs students?
Who wants to tackle that one? Rick, go ahead.
There are many challenges, of course, in these very difficult budget times as we move forward with what we're seeing with these cuts that are going to take place in July 1st, and of course without the passage of the propositions that we're all working hard to see passed. On May 19th, we're going to be challenged again with some serious budget issues. Having said that, I think there's a commitment on the part of the legislature to continue funding those programs that are critical to kids with autism and other developmental disabilities. There's a number of pieces of legislation currently in the process right now. One bill in particular that's very important to the autism community is AB 1124, the Stay Put bill that's over in the Assembly that would be very helpful for families in that critical transition period from 0 to 3, transitioning services from regional centers to school districts. We also have a number of other matters that we're working on, of course, and again trying to keep the funding at a level that will take care of our kids' needs. There's federal dollars that have come in, thank God, quite frankly, from the federal government that has helped backfill some of the reductions in special ed, but we are clearly in challenging times, and we'll be working hard to try to protect what we have, and of course the great need to increase many of these programs.
I want to add one comment because Rick sparked that thought for me. California, of course, is going through a significant fiscal crisis, and we passed a $42 billion deficit reduction package in February. It also happens to be the 2009-10 budget. And Rick talked about the propositions coming up. One of the things that it's important to note is that in the February budget, we gave categorical flexibility to a number of programs within the education budget. We did not give that flexibility for special education, intentionally, because we want to make sure that that funding source remains strong, given the incredible need. If the deficit grows worse after May the 19th, some of the decisions which we were able to avert, we may have to reconsider.
I just wanted to comment that
What's that?
it's very exciting for California to be in a position to work synergistically with the federal government, because President Obama has singled out autism as one of his important priorities and has released research dollars and will be releasing special education dollars to local school districts. So it is wonderful to have that synergy possible.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, we will stay, some of us, for questions, and thank you very much for attending today. Appreciate it. Look forward to our first meeting to be announced soon.